Can I tell you something, Bill? Most of you say is not smart. It's just sort of obscure.
It's not obscure to a certain percentage of people.
Yeah, people that are at your
some
altitude.
giant egghead. I'm just
I know you're not that smart.
I know. I'm not saying I am. Which says something about all these things I say that you don't know what I'm talking about.
So what?
I know.
There's subjects I could bring up. It's just, you're just into, musicals.
In this video, we'll take a look at Bill Maher's Club Random podcast with Bill Burr. What makes this podcast so great is also one of the reasons people like Bill Burr. He has no filter. This episode is particularly satisfying because Bill Burr says what we're all thinking. Maher's not the first podcast host Bill Burr's humbled.
You're in love with your daughter, hearing you talk about her on the podcast.
Jesus Christ, well, you're pretty perceptive. You think you care about your own child.
Remember that on Mary Tyler Moore show? She'd have a rough day and she'd come in. And
I don't remember the whole show.
I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
If I can explain it to you.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. All right.
No, I believe it.
I don't know. And the second I started to explain, I don't know the whole show. All right, fine, I get it.
I believe
That's that comic ADD. I don't want to. I'm not into it. I don't want to hear it. I got it. Your show. Go ahead. Continue.
I remember. All right, let's talk about old shows then.
We don't have to. It was so funny how you bailed twice on
Made
that.
headlines in October 2000 and 2000 after controversial monologue. You know, I don't know
2000 and 2000, Mike. That's 2020.
Listen,
Those
man.
Brownsville schools, man.
Your Christian background is part of the show. Or at
Yes,
least
and I
two
wanted to
episodes.
talk to you about Jesus after this.
Well, the only reason why I bring it up is some people thought maybe you went a little too far.
We did maybe 2 jokes about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you think the Catholic Church went a little too far? More so than my cartoon.
All right, listen.
A couple of jokes. I know this is a morning show. You can't bring up all those crimes.
You know what? Technically,
they just sort of kept moving them around. You know, like those killer whales at SeaWorld. After it kills a trainer, they'll then move it up to Seattle. They don't give them their background.
all right, I'm not totally following.
Bill Maher is not a comedian. He's a debater. He's after the applause, not the laugh. Throughout the podcast, he tries to win the conversation instead of just having a conversation. But Bill Burr calmly destroys him.
That might be the difference in our generations, which is not that. I mean, we're maybe like 13 years apart.
You're one of my elders, man. I respect you for that.
I feel like I'm in the Reagan-Mondale debate.
No, I just
Now
remember when you did my podcast, you kept getting like, I'm not that much older than you.
And I'm not. And
Dude, 13 years is a long time.
Well, I think the point I made then, and I'll remake it for you, is that to anyone young, who is what we care about in this in this discussion, because it's like, well, we don't want to lose that audience. Trust me, when you're 25, you and I are the same. We are the younger audience.
No, if you and I are just like hanging out, talking, but if we go back far enough.
You're a dad.
If we go back like.
That adds 10 years. That definitely closes that gap. Anyway, the point being.
I don't like how you just made that point and then said anyway really quickly before I could refute it. Anyway. Did you learn that in debating class?
I did.
Because you said anyway, I'm going to roll with that? No.
Well, I mean.
It's like Maher takes offense at being Burr's elder. Burr was trying to be respectful, but when Maher carries on about it, Burr makes sure not to placate him like everyone else probably does when he uses big words. I don't know why Maher's delusional about his age. He brought up the same talking point when he was on Bill Burr's podcast years ago.
In my generation,
Your generation.
I'm 12 years older than you.
You're a boomer, man. You're talking about the Beatles, getting all
You're 54.
your feathers
Okay, so you're 12
fluffed
years.
about what's her face.
Okay. By the way,
White Album is so much better than Taylor Swift.
By the way, to anyone under 30, we're the same.
It's obvious they're from two totally different generations. Burr could be going a lot harder on Maher than he is, but unlike Ethan Klein or any of the other podcasters he's destroyed, I think there's a level of respect Burr has for him because of his age and success. But as the podcast goes on, Burr doesn't hold back.
My point, the 25-year-old is watching this going, look at these two old guys. They're not going, oh, the guy with cigars, obviously 13 years younger.
I know, but you have to go all the way down to 25 to appear my age.
Well, I don't.
You can see, look at the difference. Look at the difference. You can just see the way we dress.
No, I look good. That's the difference. Is that you were
do
wearing?
Look good.
You're wearing
You're not gonna
sneakers.
throw that in my face.
You got a t-shirt on. Like
You look like a defendant. You look like you're trying to beat a drinking and driving charge. He doesn't have any priors, Your Honor. Look at him. He's wearing his Chelsea boots. He's a what do they call it? A productive member of society.
Burr has always been friendly when he roasts Maher. He could go a lot harder on him, but I think Burr is at a point in his life now where he doesn't have to rely on the over-the-top anger. Burr's joking around throughout the podcast, but in the next clip it sounds like he takes a shot at Bert.
What is your regimen? I'm very curious, like your health regimen. How much do you care about what you eat? Or you?
No, I do. I don't with desserts. I don't eat bread, and I've laid off like sugar and stuff.
There you go.
I had a little bit of a relapse, but like when you get to
Right.
be my age, you're not going to go to the gym and burn it off. What's going to happen is your joints are going to wear out before the donut does. So just stop eating the f***ing donut. So I just try to like
Yeah.
maintain.
No, that's exactly.
And I keep my shirt on.
That.
I'm not one of these testosterone
And it's-
HGH guys. What do you think the price of that's going to be?
At a
Because
s-
you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't get your frat boy
No.
yoked body back.
At a certain age, you can look good in clothes.
Yes.
Okay? And you just have to accept that. And luckily, women accept that. Most women. It's very, very rare
Women are
that.
very forgiving. And I also think they like if you're a little bit out of shape because it gives them some leeway.
Well, you keep telling yourself that. They don't like that. But
I'm not telling myself that. I'm telling you that.
okay. I just don't think that's true. But
That's how you say it.
So Bill and Burt had a podcast. They only did around 50 episodes. It makes me think that Burt is the reason Burr does a podcast by himself. Like Burt just ruined it for him. Burr freaked out on the last episode because he was having a family cookout and had to stop what he was doing to talk to Dan Le Batard.
Oh, and we have a wonderful guest who already came in hot. The real hot take about the city of Boston. Oh, the white people, because then they get to act like they're not racist and there's no issues in name Maybury. Live from the Andy Griffith show, but up we got Dan fucking Le Batard. Go ahead, Dan. You lit the fuse, and now you're going to play the victim like some chick on a Real Housewife show. All right, go ahead, do that. Press charges. Shout out to the Real Housewives of Potomac.
So after that, the Bill Burt podcast was no more. As far as who Burr was calling out for taking tests, it could be anyone, especially in the Rogan sphere. But he mentions that he leaves his shirt on and also mentions you can't have your cake and eat it too, and refers to looking like a frat guy. This pretty much sums up Burt.
it's gauche. But yeah.
Here you go
I mean,
again with the big words. What does gauche mean? I've heard the word.
it means great in French.
Gauche? No, it doesn't.
No.
Magnifique.
Do you remember when you were on Real
Say
Talk?
magnifique, monsieur. That's
You're in the highlight reel.
super. I'm on the same
You're-
page with you.
oh, I know.
young people. You're
No.
Zeppelin. I know that happens a lot.
No, I
That's
know.
in vogue
I'm
for
a-
young kids to say the Beatles stink.
I can always talk Beatles, and one reason they are prima inter pares among rock gods is that they.
I've never heard all of those words. Was that 3 words? Was that 2 words?
That's Latin for first among equals.
Don't you save that for your parties when you're wearing your smoking jacket? I'll tell you that Bill Maher is really smart. He is really well read. He just said prima paravardis.
Prima inter pares.
Inter pares.
You know what? I'm not the bad guy because I know more. Okay, can we just get
That's
that?
right. Don't
Can we
make me-
just
don't make me-
Chiron that?
exactly.
I'm not the bad guy because I know things. I apologize.
You should say, I'm sorry, I'm not stupid, Bill.
Point-
That's what you should have said.
If Maher was an actual comedian, he would know that people rarely care for a smart guy. I think all good comedians are smart, and they're smart enough to know that playing a dumb guy makes them more likable. Maybe he was messing with Burr since Burr already called him out for using big words, so he just went over the top with it. Either way, it's hilarious Burr said all the things people watching wanted to say. At this point in the podcast, Burr just said and roast Maher.
Oh, downtown, the Disney Center?
Yeah, the one that looks all weird.
Yeah, the one
Oh,
from
artsy.
Frank Gehry.
Frank
Yes,
Gehry?
he's an architect.
He's an architect. I knew he's an architect. Oh, that's a big thing in your world, knowing architects' names.
I wasn't trying to brag.
That's an L. Ron Hubbard.
No, it's just
First of all, I don't think you could change the oil in a car, so don't talk about architecture
I
like
can't, and I wouldn't want to.
oh, let me adjust my glasses.
Why would I want?
I don't want
Why
to.
would I want to, Eliza?
Honestly can't tell if Maher is being genuine or if he's just setting up Burr to roast him because he makes it way too easy. Burr is really chilled out over the years. You can tell he has a genuine respect for Maher because he was never angry while he was roasting him. He can tell when Maher is uncomfortable with the current topic, so he turns it into a joke to change the subject.
Stop
Solved
attacking
it.
Israel.
You just
I did.
solved it.
I actually
there you
did.
go. That's fantastic.
Anyway,
All right,
we don't need to get
let's
onto
go to,
that.
Let's go to Russia and the Ukraine. How do you solve that one, Bill? Let me hear your hard-nosed decision about that. Well, let me ask you a question.
That's it.
How is war still legal? All this shit that's been canceled.
Legal.
Why is that still f***ing legal?
Would you like a real answer to that? Because for something to be illegal, you have to have the capacity to enforce it.
Sit down and talk it out. Why can't Putin do a podcast with the head guy? Like, you just solved the Middle East on a podcast. Why can't they solve what they're doing on a podcast?
This is why this is not your thing.
Make some hard-nosed decisions. It's not your thing. It's what you.
It is my thing.
It isn't your thing.
This is not
it
your
isn't.
thing.
You're like that guy
Plain
that has a fantasy football team and thinks he's a GM.
No.
That's exactly what it is. Like, why am I fucking listening to you like you've done something? What have you done in Washington? Nothing.
No, I would never go to Washington.
It's beneath you.
Boston comics just seem more truculent and pugilistic than most to me.
I knew what that meant. I would agree or disagree with it.
I normally would not have used those words.
Did you ever play Nick's Comedy Stop? I bet you had some rough sets in that one.
I had a rough night in Boston once where
I was
the headliner.
I could see you not having a good time in Boston. I could see them going.
That was a long time ago.
Dude, you have, this is a hacky reference, but you totally have the energy of, you forgot to give out the homework assignment, Mrs. So-and-so.
Burr asking Maher why is war still legal is funny. Like he's just setting Maher up to say something he believes is profound. Still, Maher has the nerve to tell Burr that this isn't his thing.
Can I tell you something, Bill? Most of it you say is not smart. It's just sort of obscure.
It's not obscure to a certain percentage of people.
Yeah, I'm not
some giant egghead. I'm just
I know you're not that smart.
I know. I'm not saying I am. Which says something about all these things I say that you don't know what I'm talking about.
So what?
I know.
There's subjects I could bring up. It's just, you're just into, musicals.
Burr just got tired of Maher and said, the stuff you say isn't smart, it's just obscure. That pretty much sums him up.